In this video, I'm going to look at a Liteon LVW 5005. This is a standalone DVD and CD recorder, and this one is not working. This one was donated by one of my viewers. Let's see if we can get it going. This unit will support dvd+r, dvd+rw, dvd+r, dvd+rw, CDR, and CDRW. And it will record in any format. They called it an all-write. If you put a CDR or a CDRW, you can record an audio CD as an audio CD using the inputs on the back, and it will make a audio CD that's compatible with CD players. It does not have manual level control though. That's the only thing. It has auto level. So, but it'll still do it. I've just given this one, but I actually have one of these machines. I've had it for years. They all tend to have the same type of problems that this one has, and that's that the disc doesn't eject properly and doesn't load, and the burners in here weren't very good. They failed. They were quite picky as to what discs you put in them. But with a CDR or CDRW, you could record an audio CD. You could record a video CD as a VCD spec, and that would give you 74 minutes of basically VHS quality video encoded in MPEG-1. You could record it as a super video CD, which would give you up to 40 minutes of better quality video on a 600 or 700 megabit CDR or CDRW. And in DVD mode, you could record, obviously, DVD video. They also have the ability that they will convert, if you give it a PAL signal through the input, it will give you an NTSC signal out, and it will actually do, this one here, it's not looking as good as it should. Looks like there's maybe some filter caps that are going bad in it. But the other one that I have, the quality of the PAL to NTSC conversion, it's actually very good on it. The picture quality is excellent. Where it falls short, though, is it doesn't scale. So if you feed a PAL signal in, you will get a PAL signal or get an NTS signal that comes out, but the bottom half of the picture, the last, well, there's 100 lines less in an NTSC picture than a PAL picture, but in active lines there's about 80 active lines, and they just get cropped. So the bottom of the picture, if you're looking at a conversion that's gone through one of these machines, and there's a crawl across the bottom, like the ticker tape on the newscast and stuff, well, that'll generally be cut off because it'll cut the bottom inch or so of the picture off if you are converting through this. But quality wise, the image going through here, if you give it a PAL signal, the image coming out is actually very good. I'm going to take this one apart and see what is wrong with this unit. I figure the belt is probably shot for the drive because the drawer doesn't open and close properly. So let's pull the top off it and see what's inside this thing. It might surprise you. When I open this thing up, you're going to find what looks just like a standard computer DVD drive. So, screws removed. The top cover should just lift off to reveal the main board and the DVD drive. Actually, this one looks different than mine. The one that I've got, this is metal. It's a standard, still an IDE drive. There's your IDE cable, but the one I've got, this is all metal. It's an actual computer drive in it. So this must be a later model. When was this? This is October 2005. So I don't know what mine is, but mine's the same model as this. But mine, this whole drive is metal. It actually looks like a standard IDE drive in a computer. So I don't know whether this is an earlier drive or a later drive than mine, but wouldn't surprise me though, because Liteon was they were a company that was just banging out products that were being sold at Costco. Now I've got three. I was given these machines, And I've got 3 that I'll be servicing in the next little bit here, as I try to clear my backlog just a bit of product that has come in lately. And I'd like to see if I can get these all working. I've got this one, and I've got, what are the other ones I've got here? Like a Toshiba and an LG. One of them's got a VHS machine as well. It's a combination recorder VHS machine, which is kind of cool. These machines today are actually relatively rare. And the reason I say that is you're hard pressed to try and find one of these. You try to find one new. Good luck. They don't make them anymore. They were all the rage there a few years ago. Back 10 years ago, they were everywhere. Everybody was selling them. Sony had them, Pioneer had them, Panasonic, Liteon, LG, Toshiba. Everybody had DVD recorders. Philips. And then they all disappeared. Almost overnight. The reasons I heard that they disappeared, again almost overnight, was because when digital cable and everything hit, you can't record onto these. They started copy protecting the recordings, or copy protecting the broadcasts. So when you tried to make a recording on a DVD recorder, it would come up and tell you that you weren't allowed to make a recording. And they basically became only useful for archiving your own non-commercial tapes, because you couldn't archive commercial tapes onto them because they have copy protection, so they won't record it. So a lot of these machines that people bought ended up going back to the store. And I know that because I've talked to people in retail, and they would tell me that they would get back pretty much every one of them that they sold. And one retailer even told me that he figured what people were doing was they were buying a machine like this so that they could archive their camcorder tapes. And once they archived their camcorder tapes, they were bringing the thing back to the store because they didn't have a use for it. A device that was originally intended to replace the VCR kind of backfired because of all the copy recording restrictions that were placed on them. So it's not surprising that they stopped making them. But I still like these units, and I've got, I don't know how many of these things I've got. Let me see, I'm trying to think here. I've got 2 Panasonic DMR E20s, and I've got 2 Toshiba, I forget the model, standalone machines. I have to look at the model number of them, but 2 of them. And I've got a Panasonic, another Panasonic that's got a hard drive in it, so you can actually edit onto the hard drive and then dump it over to disk. And I've got a Sony that has a 160 gig hard drive in it. Got that for a song. I think actually had it given to me, but I had to buy the remote for it. And I've got the light on like this, and now I've got this light on, and I've got another LG and another Toshiba combo unit. I got a few. I use these in my archive business. This is actually what I use when people bring me their VHS tapes or beta tapes and they want them transferred over to DVD. I actually use a standalone machine like this. A lot of times, even if someone wants something archived over to a USB stick, I will record their contents onto a dvd+rw, and then I'll take the dvd+rw out of the recorder and rip it on the computer. I find I get more consistent and better results doing it that way than capturing on the computer itself, because well, when capturing onto the computer directly, if there's time-based errors on the original tape, those time-based errors can certainly create some problems, cause the picture to break up or the recording to stop. So I find I get overall better quality if I go to a dvd+rw disc and then rip it on the computer. This is interesting. Here, check this out. This board here, it says Sony on it. This drive is a Sony drive that's in here. Interesting. I'm looking for the belt that that loads and unloads this. And I'm being careful not to remove the IDE cable, because sometimes on these drives, I'm not saying that this one is keyed to the firmware on here, but I have run into a situation where I had a Pioneer. It wasn't mine, it was somebody else's, and we wanted to try and get a new drive for it, and unplugged the cable to put a new drive in it. And when we plugged the cable back in, the firmware recognized that the firmware in the new replacement drive, even though it was an identical model, was not the same one, or it recognized that we had unplugged it, and it formatted the Pioneer had a hard drive built in, and just the fact of unplugged the IDE cable with the power unplugged and everything on the unit, and then we plugged the IDE cable back in, it formatted the hard drive. The unit had detected tampering, and it proceeded to format the hard drive, and all the recordings that were on the hard drive were wiped, and those recordings hadn't been backed up because the drive itself wouldn't record, and it needed a new drive. Well, at that point, putting a new drive in was kind of pointless because all the recordings that we were trying to get off of the hard drive were gone. Okay, I think the loading motor on this is right. It's going to be this one. There's a little motor right underneath here. So let's just take this board out and see. Yeah, it plugs in. There's a little plug over here. So I think if I pull this board out, I might be able to get the motor out and change the belt. I just have to find another screwdriver. I think this one's a little bit too big to do this. Maybe not. I doubt I'm going to have a belt for this, but we'll see. Take that out. And then slip that out there. Aha! And then I can unplug this. And here is my loading motor. Or, you know, for opening and closing the tray. But now I have to see how to change the belt on that. I think it's belt drive. Yeah, it is. Oh, good. I can get at it. It's right down here. I can probably slip that belt off and replace it. Ah, there it is. Okay, let me take a look and see whether I can find something that will replace that. So we're going to try putting the belt back in. Now, this is not a replacement belt. This is actually the same belt that came out of here. We've done a little trick to this one. And we'll see whether we've been able to make this one a little bit tighter than it was. Let's push the tray back in a bit so that I can get in here. Actually, this is actually quite an easy one to change. I didn't need to take the board off of it, because it's right in here. Slip the belt around there and then around the pulley. There. Let's see whether we've made any progress. Put the board back in. Now I know there's going to be the skeptics out there that are not going to believe this thing needed a belt because I failed to show you guys it not opening and closing, but trust me, it would not open or close. And the guy that gave it to me, if he sees this, he can attest to that. Okay, put the drive back in place here. We'll put the main screws in to hold the drive in place, and then we'll see whether this thing opens and closes. And then if it does, whether we can actually play any disc. Now I think this thing has a power supply problem as well. I saw some interference when I had it running. Looked like the classic capacitor problem. Always helps when you use the right tool, right? Okay, I'm going to power the unit up. Just gonna wait for a couple minutes here. There it goes. Hello. And we'll see whether this thing opens. What do you know? It opens. Open, close. I think we'll try this thing and see if it works. We turn on the TV here. Actually, I'll put the front panel back on. I know you guys are probably dying to know what I did to fix that belt. Maybe I'll keep you in suspense. It's a little trick that we used to do in the business when we didn't have a belt. Of course, we never told the client that. We always told the client that we put a new belt in and charged them for it. But there's a way to restore belts that works in a lot of cases. I don't know if you guys are ready for this yet, because it doesn't require a heck of a lot of. It's pretty simple. I don't know whether you guys are ready for the trade secrets. Oh, what the hell. I'll let you guys in on a trade secret. You take the belt, you put it in a glass of water, and you microwave it for about 15 minutes. And boil the shit out of it. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to restore the belt to its original shape and put some elasticity back in and make the belt work. Okay? Now you know the trick of the trade. I didn't show you that going on, but I took the belt and took it in the house and put it in a cup of water and boiled it for 15 minutes, and that was all I did. Okay, power on. Let's see if this thing will play. Okay, we'll open this up. We'll put my disc in. It says reading. We'll see if it'll play this disc first. And DVD video. And here's my, I guess I'll probably have to block this, but I'll show you a bit of it. This is my promo I put on my my videos. So, see if I can play this. Here, we'll play this for you guys. This is just a tag that I put on whenever I do a transfer to DVD for clients. They get my advertising on it. So I'm cutting out some stuff here. I'm cutting out my personal information from the YouTube channel. Now, of course, I have to actually get rid of the sound during this part because I don't want to get hit with the copyright. So I'm just going to kill the sound over this part here. But as you can see, it's playing my logo just fine. Okay, it works. Wow. We'll open it up here again. That's all that's on that disc. That's just a tag disc, right? So the next thing we'll do, open this disc up here, and we'll take the disc out. I'm going to go get a blank disc, go hook this thing up, and we'll try some recordings on it. I'll just use a dvd+rw disc. We'll try some recordings and see whether this thing works. So I'm just going to load a dvd+rw disc here. And we'll try making a recording off of my house cable. Okay, as you can see, the machine is ready to start recording. So we're going to select the tuner, the remote control here, select the input. Okay, now it's coming up on this. Easy guider. Go. So now I'm recording this program. Seems some noise in that picture, almost like maybe a filter is starting to go bad in the power supply just from the noisiness of the picture. Anyway, if I stop this recording, I just want to see if I can play this back. So if I stop this recording, I've hit stop. I should be able to bring up the guider again for playback. As you can hear, the drive spins up back and forth like crazy. Okay, playback. And it should. And there's our playback. So that's how this thing works. Don't have to finalize dvd+rw discs like you do the regular dvd-r and the dvd-rw. So that's a little bit different on how this works. If I want to erase a title, I think I can bring up the guider again. I think I hit guider to do it. I'm just using the remote control here. So now if I want to erase, I go down to erase, and I can, all contents will be erased. If I click on here, it's now going to erase that disc that I just recorded. Now, one thing I always found annoying about this particular machine is the tuner that was in this thing was never a stereo tuner. So when I had the unit, it was, you know, I record off TV on it, and it recorded mono sound. It didn't record stereo. That's something I always found a bit odd. You record stereo sound if you gave it the audio video inputs, but if you record it off air, it only recorded a mono. Again, it was a cheap unit. At the time when these were sold at, like Costco sold these were by far the least expensive DVD recorder that I had ever seen. I mean, they were a couple $100, whereas other brand name ones were much more expensive. So these were very inexpensive, and they did a lot. Comparatively speaking to what a lot of the other ones did. Recorded on all kinds of different disc formats, like you could do audio CDs and stuff on these as well, right? I just confirmed, I just put my stereo music channel on here. I'm not going to play the sound obviously, but I just put my stereo music channel. See, this thing, I'm getting some ingress in here on the picture. It's almost like the tuner's overloaded a bit, but anyway, yeah, I just confirmed that the sound is not stereo. When I switch to the tuner in the TV, the music is playing loud and clear in stereo, and when I switch to the sound going through here, it doesn't sound like stereo. So it's not, the tuner on these was not stereo, but they were relatively easy to work with. To record, you could just press the guider button and select record, and it would ask you what source you wanted to record from. TV, AV1, AV2, S-Video, or DV, so you can plug your DV camera directly in. I'm on channel 12. And then I pick what speed I want to record, and then click. I'm just clicking the OK button, go, and it starts recording. That's how simple this was to set this thing up and record. This thing's been recording for a while here. We'll stop it and check out our playback. We hit the play button, our title comes up, we press the OK button, and there we go. It's working. And sometimes these machines get a little bit temperamental, right? When they are, especially if they've been sitting around for a while. I've just had this thing running for a bit now, and it seems to be working just fine. It's recording and playing. And I've done a couple recordings on it now. I've erased the disc, started it up again. Again, had to replace the belt. I didn't replace the belt. We serviced the belt by microwaving it for 15 minutes. And that quite often is all that's needed to restore a belt to working condition. And as I say, these machines were kind of finicky even from the get-go. They were temperamental on what brands of discs. They typically liked Maxell and Fuji discs. They worked really quite well. But other brands of discs, it was kind of hit and miss. They actually came with a list of the preferred discs, and if you varied from the list that they recommended, the results were unpredictable. So they weren't the greatest of units at the time, but they were cheap. Okay, I guess that about does it for this one. This unit's ready to go back together. That's the screensaver that comes up when you shut off any of the signals, if it's not tuning anything in or you've got it no disc playing. That comes up to prevent burn-in. Anyway, that's it for this one. I've got a couple more DVD recorders I'm going to be looking at pretty quick, and of course those reel-to-reel machines will be coming up real soon, but that does it for this one. We'll catch you later.